Morning, everybody. Welcome to the April meeting of the Philadelphia Land Bank. We are going to start with a statement read by our attorney about holding virtual meetings.
Good morning. Today's board meeting is being held via an authorized communication device because of the continued closure of land bank offices to the public due to the pandemic. This meeting is being recorded. Questions and comments may be made using the Q&A or raised hand function at the bottom of the screen. If you are calling in and not using the Zoom webinar link, you may ask questions or make comments by pressing *9 on your phone. Please do not use the chat function. If you have any issues submitting questions or comments, please send an email to andrea.sa@phdc.phila.gov, and I will add that to the chat as quickly as possible. Please note all questions and comments received by email or through the Q&A function will be included in the minutes posted on the board's website. Also, prior to today's public session, the board held an executive session at which the board received information about Pennsylvania state legislative initiatives that affect land banks in Pennsylvania, and also reviewed the agenda and the possible change in the agenda sequence of items. So that's it.
Thank you. And now we'll have a roll call.
Yes. Sorry. Ann Fedula.
Here.
Here.
Maria Gonzalez.
Here.
Michael Johns.
Here, but we'll have to step off at some point.
All right. Rebecca Lopez Cruz. Majida Rashid.
Here.
Joshua Harris.
Here.
Michael Kuntz.
Here.
Rick Sauer. Alexander Balloon.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum and can proceed.
Richard
All
DeMarco, present.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Rich.
DeMarco.
Okay,
Andrew
okay,
Goodman
and hold
also
on. Richard
present.
DeMarco and Andrew Goodman.
Correct.
And we got Majida.
I did say Majida. I
Yes.
missed
Okay.
Rich and Andrew. My apologies.
All right. Okay, great. Hopefully the board has had a chance to review the minutes from the March Land Bank Board meeting. If there are not any questions or comments on those, can I get a motion?
Motion approved. Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded to approve the minutes from the March 8th, 2022 Land Bank Board meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes carry. Executive Director's reports.
Morning, board members. At this time, I don't have an executive director's report to provide.
All right. We're on to item 4, which is administrative matters, and this involves the conveyance of several properties for disposition to the Philadelphia Housing Development Corporation.
Morning, board members. Today, we're asking the board to authorize the transfer of 2642, 3114, 3116, and 3118 Dickinson Street, 2637, 2641, 2655, 2900, 2950 through 2954, and 2955 Garrett Street, 1501 South Marston Street, including 1500 South Edding Street.
Angel,
15.
I'm sorry. May I interrupt you? I'm afraid you're reading from the old version of the agenda.
I'm reading from the newest version with the struck, not including the struck. I left out the properties that are not.
Okay, my apologies. I apologize.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks. All right, I'll keep going.
Yes.
1506, 1511, 1517 South Stillman Street, 1516, 1519, 1527, and 1529 South Taney Street, 3100 and 3124 Tasker Street, 2603, 2617, 2623, 2635, 2637, 2641, 2643, 2645 through 47, and 2654 Wilder Street, 1448 South 31st Street, and 1443 South 32nd Street in the second councilmanic district, to the Philadelphia Housing Development Corporation. The conveyance of these properties will be for disposition, reuse, and management as it pertains to the Minority Developer Program.
Thank you, Angel. Any questions from the board on this item? Seeing none, do we have any members of the public that are here to speak to this item? Seeing no hands raised, can I get a motion?
I move that we approve the disposition.
A second.
A motion has been made and properly seconded to approve the disposition of the properties read off by Angel Rodriguez to the Philadelphia Housing Development Corporation. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. That brings us to item 5A, which is a development for affordable housing. I have a conflict on this item, so I'm going to recuse myself. Board member Joshu Harris also has a conflict, so he's going to recuse himself, which means we are turning the meeting over to Maria Gonzalez for this item. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Anne. Good morning, everybody. So I'll be acting as chair for item number 5A, which is about the disposition of properties to the Community Justice Land Trust for the Women's Revitalization Project to develop 27 affordable rental units.
So today we're asking.
I'm sorry, so sorry, Joshu, would you mind shutting down your microphone and camera? Yes. Thank you.
Today, we're asking the board to authorize the disposition of the following properties to the Community Justice Land Trust for the Women's Community Revitalization Project to develop 27 affordable rental units. 3 units will target supportive housing tenants at 20% of AMI. 7 units will be leased at 30% of AMI. 7 units will be leased at 50% of AMI. And 10 units will be leased at 60% of AMI. The application was unsolicited and evaluated pursuant to the disposition policies. The properties are 1210, 1212, 12 and 1214 South 27th Street, 2723, 2725, 2727, 2729, 2731, 2733, 2735, 2737, and 2739 Ingram Street, 2704, 2706, 2710, 2712, 2716, 2720, 2724, 2726, 2738, and 2740 Manton Street. Pardon me. 2705 and 2720 Oakford Street in the 2nd Councilmanic District. Evidence of project financing has been provided. The applicant is compliant and in good standing with the City of Philadelphia. The project will be subject to an economic opportunity plan. The levels are 15% MBE and 5% WBE. The property will be subject to a declaration of restrictive covenants and a revocable power of attorney and a right of reentry.
Thank you, Angel. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Okay, seeing none. Are there any questions or comments received on this item prior to the board meeting? No. And are there any questions or comments from the public on this disposition?
Oh, Maria, I think Andrea is
You're
muted.
muted, Andrea.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I couldn't unmute myself. There was one email regarding this particular project specifically. And that was from David Sapanic, basically saying that he's supporting affordable housing, but needed more information. So, and yes, and he is looking forward to future collaboration with Community Justice Land Trust. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments from the public?
2 hands up.
Yeah, we have two hands up, and it's growing. The first is Mitch.
Okay. Please state your name for the record and you can proceed with your comments.
Oh, no, I did not mean to raise my hand on this matter. I'm sorry. Very sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Next is David.
Hi, David, unmute yourself, state your name, and you can proceed with your comments.
Hi, my name is David Stepanek. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much. As a community member here in Grays Ferry, and I've also helped to co-found the Grays Ferry Tree Tenders, where we planted our first trees back in November, and we're planning to plant 29 more trees in the neighborhood at the end of the month. We'd like to support this development, even though there are trees on this land. The trees that are on Ingram Street here are trees that we do not need in our community, the paper mulberries and the princess trees. These should be removed for this truly affordable housing. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Are there any other people in the queue?
Yeah, next is Carly.
Carly, unmute yourself, your name, and proceed with your comments. We can't hear you, Carly.
Hi, my name is Carly Frintner. Apologies. Just to be clear, commenting on item B1 right now, development request for, is that accurate?
We aren't
No.
considering that. That's the next item.
Oh, sorry, 5A.
5A.
It's
In
the
that
Affordable
case-
Housing for Community Justice Land Trust.
Yes, in that case, I support what Dave Stepanek said, and I look forward to commenting on the next item as well.
Okay, thank you.
And next is Oleg.
Oleg, state your name, unmute yourself, and you can proceed with your comments.
Hi, everybody. My name is Oleg Zvonarov. I'm a resident on Oakford Street, around between 27 and 28. I posted a question in the Q&A section regarding the, Philadelphia Land Bank Board consider what will happen to the vegetation and, wildlife on lots that are in the agenda item 5A. But I think David just kind of provided part of an answer to that question. So I wonder if there's anything else the board can add about that, regarding that matter.
Not at this time. No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Oleg.
And that's it for raised hands.
Okay, great. So, is there a motion on the floor regarding the proposed disposition on this item?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, the motion has been made and fully seconded and is for approval of disposition. Now I give the floor back to Anne to continue chairing the meeting. And also invite Joe Shu to return back to the meeting.
Thank you, Maria.
Actually, Joe Shu is still recusing himself from this item.
Right. So
Okay.
actually, I'm gonna switch the agenda a little bit, so it'd be great if Joshua could come back. We're gonna hear the side yard disposition, 2453 North Carlisle Street next, because I know we have a lot of commenters on the item 5B on the agenda. And so in order to respect the time of the applicant for the side yard, we're gonna take that first. So can we hear agenda item 5C?
Certainly. Today, we're asking the board to authorize the disposition of 2453 North Carlisle Street to Charo Harvey as a side yard in the 5th Councilmanic District. Evidence of project financing has been provided. The applicant is compliant and in good standing with the city of Philadelphia. Sorry. The project will not be subject to an economic opportunity plan. The property will be subject to use restrictions as a side yard, which include a declaration of restrictive covenants, right of reverter, irrevocable power of attorney as well.
Thank you, Angel. Andrea, did we receive any emails or comments on this item prior to the board meeting?
Yes, we did indeed. So we received a form email opposing the Grays Ferry development.
This is the side yard.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I'm a little confused.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're sorry. I switched up the agenda, so it's my fault.
Yes, my fault. I was trying to answer somebody's question in the chat. Yes, no, we have not received any response to this.
Okay. Do we have any members of the public to speak to this item, which is 5C, which is the side yard disposition for 2453 North Carlisle Street? Right, seeing none, can I get a motion from the board?
I'll move to approve.
I second.
All right, motion has been made and properly seconded to approve the disposition of 2453 North Carlisle Street as a side yard. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Okay, that brings us to item 5B. And these are both development proposals in response to a request for proposal. We're going to start with item 5B1.
Today, we're asking the board to authorize the disposition of the following properties to Affordable Alliance Company LLC, a partnership between BMK Properties LLC and Fine Print Construction LLC, which is one of the participants of PHTC's Minority Developer Program. The partnership will develop 17 affordable single-family homes, home ownership units that will be sold to households with incomes at or below 80% of AMI. The applications were solicited via a request for proposal, and the applicant was sole qualified bidder for the properties and evaluated pursuant to the disposition policy. The properties are 1543, 1545, 1547, 1549, 1551, 1553, 1554, and 1555 South Dover Street, 1540, 1542, 1544, 1546, 1548, 1550, 1552, and 1554 South Myrtlewood Street, 1546 South 30th Street in the 2nd Councilmanic District. Evidence of project financing has been provided. The applicant is compliant and in good standing with the city of Philadelphia. The project will be subject to an economic opportunity plan. The levels are 25% MBE, 10% WBE. The property will be subject to a declaration of restrictive covenants, irrevocable power of attorney, and right of reentry.
Thank you, Angel. I just want to, before we get into the testimony and all that, it seems that some folks that may be interested in speaking did not register to get the link. You need to register. You need to have registered in order to get that link. Are there instructions about how to register?
Yes, they are on the 3rd page of the agenda and participation memo that is posted on the website. Also, what we can do is if somebody still can't see a microphone on their screen, they can put, let me know basically through the Q&A their name, and then you can recognize them. Anne and Abby can unmute them.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to turn to Andrea again and ask if there were any comments received via email or other means prior to the board meeting on this item.
Yes, we received numerous emails. So I will first speak to a form email that came basically from, we had 237 senders, some of which were duplicates or triplicates. all of the same email from an organizing platform. And that was in opposition to the Grays Ferry Development RFPs. They wish to maintain public ownership of lots, ensure that serve the public, ensure true affordability for purchasers at or below 30% of area median income, and incorporate other measures for equitable and sustainable development. There also were some concerns about the process for issuing RFPs as well as selecting an awardee. Then we also received individual emails from David Sipanik, again, raising many of the same issues, concerned about the potential subsidence of land on the Myrtlewood Street properties, loss of open space, loss of tree canopy, affordability, and also his concern that he was not permitted to acquire one of the properties as a side yard. Then we received an email from Carly Frintner, who also raised many of the same issues and has already indicated that she will be speaking. Tara McSorley was concerned. She also wrote an email. She says she's conflicted about the sale, but not 100% against it. They would like to know more about the stability of the properties to be built on the Myrtlewood Street properties, the existing street conditions, the tax abatement, and how that's unfair for new owners, I mean, for existing owners, parking, unregulated and licensed construction, and they do not want multiple 3 or more story homes. Another email from Chris Santaspirt, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, and worried about the loss of the tree canopy and loss of open space. And then Jenny Williamson, who requested more information, particularly about gentrification about gentrification that's occurring in the neighborhood. Asking for more information. Oh, also one last one from Philly Thrive Right to Breathe. And that was also a lengthy letter raising many of the same issues about affordability, maintaining public ownership of lots that serve the public, and about the concerns about the land banks process.
Thank you,
And
Andrea.
I just want to clarify, all of these will be added to the minutes of this meeting and available on the land bank website.
Thank you, Andrea. Are there any questions or comments from the board on this item? And I also want to note for the record that board member Joshu Harris has recused himself from this item. All right, seeing now we're going to turn to public comment. I know that there may be many people that want to speak to this, so I'm going to ask that folks to respect everybody's time, and that if you are going to say what the person or several people before you have said, to please refrain and not make your comments repetitive. We're going to give everybody 2 minutes to speak to get through this. And again, the board did receive all the emails and everything that Andrea referred to, so we understand the nature of the issues around this project. So with that, I'm going to turn first to folks who have their hand raised, and the first name I see is Christopher Sample.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Okay, great. I have you on the phone, and because I don't see a microphone on the bottom or anything, so I called in as well. So it might be like you might hear echo. So good morning, Chair Fedulin and esteemed board members. My name is Christopher B. Sample. I'm the Chief of Staff for Councilman Kenyatta Johnson. I appear before you today to convey Councilman Johnson's strong support for this proposal. It will generate 17 row houses that will cost buyers only $180,000 per unit, thanks to a city-funded grant that will provide it to home buyers. We intend to partner with the land bank staff and the community organization to prepare local residents to qualify as home buyers. As a result, this 100% affordable project will be accessible to working families of Grays Ferry that are in imminent danger of being priced out of their neighborhoods. This project also is respectful of the neighborhood's historical characteristics. It will fill gaps on 2-story blocks with 2-story homes that are large enough to fit families, but blend harmoniously with existing homes. Finally, this project will be executed by the partnership of 2 minority business enterprises, Fine Point Companies and Riverwood Group. Fine Print. Fine Print is based in South Philadelphia and has a long-standing demonstrated commitment to uplifting this community. For this reason, Councilman Johnson offers his enthusiastic support of this visionary affordable housing project. And we want to thank you very much to the board for your consideration.
Thank you. Thank you for those comments. Next, we have David. David, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Hey,
There you
I'm
go.
sorry. I saw Daoud Bey had requested to speak about 5 minutes before me on this.
I'm just
Can
taking
I
them on
allow
the way they
someone else
show
to
up on
speak
my
first,
screen.
or you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first. I'm just taking them who I
Okay.
see on the screen.
And just so you know, I'm here and we've also got 6 other community members over here in the Myrtle lots. If I'm able to share my screen, I'd love to let you see what these lots are looking like over here. My name's
Yeah,
Dave. I'm an
fortunately, we
occupational.
don't have that ability. I apologize, David, but we don't
No
have that
problem.
level of technology.
So imagine 10 Zelakova trees giving us some shade right here. So my name's David Stepanek. I'm an occupational therapist from a home health agency. I'm also the president of a nonprofit organization, the Philadelphia Freedom Band, and the co-founder of the Grays Ferry Tree Tenders. We want to give some context to what's going on today. We already heard from the councilman's office. So some of that context is that today are the closing arguments of the corruption trial of city land sales related to the council member. And so with that kind of context, we want to talk about what's going on here. I have a photograph of what the lots look like, and you already have my written comments. So the link to that photograph is there. But there are some maps from 1880 and 1889 showing that at this spot right between 29th and 30th Street is the spring of a river that leads down towards where the refinery is. This spot where inadvertently neighbors or the city has added 10 trees is now acting as green infrastructure to the community. About 4 years ago, the city added an underground underneath the park here at Lanier Park, 250,000 gallons can be held. These 10 trees here, through a link provided by an arborist at the Arbor Day Foundation, these trees are soaking up 160,000 gallons of water every year, protecting the neighbor residents from collapse of their own homes. There are about 50 houses within these 3 blocks that have a history of sinking, and the 8 properties we're standing on today on Myrtlewood, these did collapse back in 1978 and were demolished because they were sinking so far into the soil. These trees have stabilized the soil, and we're here to testify for these trees today. I'd also like to talk about my home. I'm at 1552 South Dover, right next to 1554 South Dover. I have
David, your
a
time is
printout.
almost up, so try to.
Okay, I've got
try
a
to
printout
wrap
of
it
the
up.
last vacant review committee board meeting where I was given permission for an urban garden on 1554 South Dover, and that is still in effect today because of the pandemic. You all have pushed that year to year forward. So you and I still have an agreement to do gardening on 1554, and I would love the opportunity to purchase as a side lot or protect through a land trust. I've got other neighbors here that would also like to speak. If I can type their names in and they can have their 2 minutes.
Sure. Yeah, if you put them into the Q&A,
do you
we
spell your
will
name?
get to them. Again, I would caution if people are just going to
Sorry,
repeat the
fine.
same thing. We understand the concerns, but we want to hear from folks. The next name I have on my list is Charles Reeves. Go ahead, Mr. Reeves.
This is Carmine Zulli. I was unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Good morning, Chair and fellow board members. My name is Carmine Zulli. I am the president of the Grace Ferry Community Council, and we are in support of this project because we feel that it will bring much needed, clean, safe, and affordable housing to an area that's experiencing a tremendous amount of growth, where we share displacement concerns and desire to help those that are less fortunate remain in the Grace Ferry area. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Reeves. All right, next we have Jackson Plumley.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. My name is Jackson Plumley. I'm a University of Pennsylvania student in the city planning program. I'm also a member of Philly Thrive and a student organization called Housing for All. I wanted to express my concern about the affordability thresholds that are listed in the RFPs and that are now moving forward for item 5A. 80% AMI just simply isn't affordable in Grays Ferry. Depending on where you draw the neighborhood boundary, the 2019 census data shows that the average household income is $28,000 to $33,000. And that's closer to a 30% AMI range. And so we're looking for some clarity on why this threshold is able to be accommodated, for instance, in some of the earlier properties that were discussed that are being transferred to the Community Justice Land Trust, but not in this case. As some people have already said, displacement is a big concern in Grays Ferry, and any affordable housing that's being targeted for the neighborhood, I believe, should really be targeting the people that need it the most. And so getting the affordability threshold down to that 30% AMI level would be an immediate need in this neighborhood. Just thinking about the $180,000 figure that was listed earlier for purchasing a home, that still puts a mortgage payment somewhere around $800 to $900. And if folks are making something like $2,700 a month, that still is close to the 30% cost burden threshold that people in this neighborhood would be facing. So I would implore folks to make every effort to deliver the kind of safe, clean, quality, affordable housing that Grays Ferry residents deserve and need. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for those comments. All right, next we have Heaven Thomas.
Hello, good morning. Can everyone hear
morning.
me?
Yes, we
Good
can.
morning.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you for allowing me to speak to the chairman and the board. I just wanted to say something in reference to the $180,000 affordability price point. The fella that just went, that figure is kind of off for a mortgage based on the demographics of the area. People may have like bad credit or credit issues, and they're going to have a higher interest rate. So that $800, $900 payment is going to be for people with an $80,000 home if they're coming in at like a lower credit score. So $180,000 would really take you above like $1,100, $1,200 if we're dealing with this demographic of, you know, credit challenges or maybe some type of affordable housing before PHA, those type of things. So I just wanted to say a different standpoint to the affordability. You have to take in consideration of the interest rates that these people would, you know, have, and 180 is not affordable, especially if a person has challenging credit and is going to have higher interest rates. So I just think that should be noted as well.
Thank you. Thank you for those comments. And next we have Elwin Corby.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead, please.
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to speak. My name is Elwin Corby. I'm a Point Breeze resident and member of Reclaim Philadelphia. I'll make my comments brief because I am echoing many of the concerns that have been voiced by other residents today. As has already been mentioned, the price point being proposed for these units is simply not affordable for long-term residents in the area. There's a pressing need for real affordable housing in this community, and I think we need to be clear about what does and does not meet that need, and this proposal does not. I'm also concerned about sustainability in the neighborhood and sustainable development, as well as the expedited process we've seen to date, which favors large developers. So that's it. Thank you so much for your time.
Sure. Thank you for providing those comments. And next up, we have Carol Foy. Ms. Foy, you should be able to unmute yourself. There you go. Go ahead, Ms. Foy. Ms. Foy? Ms. Foy, would you like to provide comments? Unfortunately, we're not hearing what Ms. Foy is trying to communicate. So let's go to Lisa Hastings and maybe we can see if Ms. Foy can, we can get her back. So we're going to go to Lisa Hastings.
Hello, my name is Lisa Hastings, and I live in Philadelphia outside this community, but I have been concerned about the movement of property that have been essentially redeveloped and are being used by communities, the movement of those properties from communities to developers around the city for some time. With the hundreds of objections to the disposition of the properties in Grays Ferry, I ask that the land bank not dispose of these properties as described and reassess this disposition in coordination with the people who live in the neighborhood, factoring in quality of life issues, safety issues some of them have raised, the destruction of green space, actual affordability to the neighborhood, and other factors that have been brought up by the community. I think that building quote unquote affordable housing in communities where people cannot afford to live is really facilitating gentrification, not community protection and improvement. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments, Ms. Hastings. And before we get to the next hand raise, I just want to note that Carol Foy was able to put her comments in the chat, and she recommends housing for rent and also to protect a tree that is on Tedesco Street, I think is what it said. So thank you for being able to put your comments in the chat, Ms. Foy. And I'm sorry we weren't able to understand your comments when you were unmuted. So next I'm going to go to Chris Spurt. Sorry if I didn't get that last name right. Go ahead, Chris.
Hi there. I just want to make sure you can hear me. I'm at work, so my cell service can be a little spotty.
All good.
Okay, great. You're close with my name. It's Santa Spurt. I appreciate you trying, though. It's a little tough. I'm a fairly new resident of Grays Ferry. I live across the street from the block on Myrtlewood that's open for development, and I am against the development of this land, mainly due to the threat it has on the structural integrity of my home. I'm not looking to incur any new costs from any potential damage that happens down the road due to the loss of trees. That's my primary concern as a new homeowner, that losing my investment, something I've worked hard for the past 10 years to obtain. That's my main concern, is losing that.
Thank you, Mr. Santa Spurt. Appreciate those comments. And next we have Dawood Bey. Go ahead, Mr. Bay. Mr. Bay, do you want to provide comment? Oh, looks like he's coming on in another realm. Mr. Bay, you should be able to unmute yourself on the other device that you're on.
Daoud,
well, there we-
he has a message in the Q&A. Daoud, it's the microphone on the lower left corner of the screen. And you would click. Can you hear us now, Daoud? We can barely hear you.
All right, while we deal with the Mr. Bay's technical issues, let's go to Mo Rushdie.
Good morning, Chair, and the esteemed members of the board. I just wanted to provide a comment, some comments about the numbers. The project encourages home ownership for people in the neighborhood, even though the RFP was for homes priced at $230,000, which is about $1,200 or $1,150 a month in mortgage. Council member Johnson has reached out to apply MPI funds to bring the mortgage amount down to $180,000 through possibly down payment assistance or closing cost assistance, in addition to possibly buying down the interest rates so that the monthly expenses would be in the range between $800 and $900 a month. That mortgage amount, that total housing cost would be affordable for people making between $2,500 to $2,700 a month. So people making between $15 an hour to $17 an hour, which is closer to just under 60% AMI.
Thank you, Mr. Rushdie. We appreciate those comments. And I just want to, for the record, clarify Ms. Foy's comments. Thank you for putting this in there for me, that her concern are the trees at the South 30th Street property near Tasker and the Myrtlewood Street properties. I'm going to go to the names I see in the chat, and then I'll come back to Mr. Bay. So Cheryl Singletary, who I believe is on the call with David. So I think we need to unmute David, and then we will hear from Cheryl, and there's a few other folks in here.
Cheryl's actually on.
Oh, Cheryl, we can unmute Cheryl. Okay, go ahead.
I actually think Cheryl's on a device that doesn't have a microphone. So I'll try and unmute David if she's with him.
Okay.
So we're doing it. Can you hear us over here?
Yes, we can. So David,
Jeffrey.
we're gonna keep you unmuted, and we're gonna go through your list of names here. Okay, so we're gonna start with Cheryl.
Okay, and Jeffrey is above that, but Cheryl can go first.
Oh, okay, I don't see Jeffrey, so we'll have Cheryl and then we'll go to Jeffrey.
Ready? Good morning. My name is Cheryl Singletary, and I lived in Grace Ferry all of my life. And because of all the new developments, we really don't have a clean space or a clear space to have anything. The houses around here are falling because of the floods that used to come and loosen up this ground over here. But because of these big, beautiful trees, the water is being sucked up. So these people are not in danger like they were. There are some houses on 30th Street that still have big cracks where people can't afford to fix them. So it really makes no sense to me. Like, we need a space. You need a public space for us to gather and to enjoy the land that we live in. Our neighborhood is a nice neighborhood, and there are really enough houses. And we really can't afford the houses that they're proposing. So I say no and nay, and please come and see this land right here. It's beautiful. And it's
Thank you,
not
Ms.
blighted, clean, and it's beautiful.
Thank you, Ms. Singletary. And I will go back up to Jeff. I'm sorry, I don't have his name in front of me, so I can't say his last name.
Just say your name.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jeffrey Singletary. I live at 1555 South 30th Street, directly behind, in front of Myrtlewood Street, where the trees and the lot is being forcefully taken, basically. I would like to say that this lot and a lot of these lots around the neighborhood are taken care of by the neighborhood. Everybody comes out to clean these lots, and I've been doing it for 25 years with the help of my neighbors that's been here. We collected over 300 signatures to stop this land grab. We want to, as a neighborhood, we want to be a part of the process of this. Maybe if we had information about the situation, we can stop some of it. We could buy as a neighborhood and leave it the way we want it to be, as green space. Keep our canopy, keep our trees. We don't want the bulldozers to shake up our houses any more than they're already shaking. These houses, some of these houses have cracks from the top to the kitchen window. I'm looking at it right now. But if those bulldozers come and bullying our trees, everything's gonna fall. And they open up the lake, the stream under this property to go into basements, and as opposed to going into the trees for leaves. I've been cleaning this thing for 25 years. Had no idea that it could be sold because the people were displaced. The people displaced is the reason for the trees. So they kick the people out to bring people in. It's not fair to us. It's not fair to the people that they displaced, and it's not going to be fair as far as it goes. We as neighborhood, Philly Thrive, and the people in the neighborhood should have some type of information, not just 12 days of information. We should have had information for when this began.
Mr. Singletary, I need you to wrap up your comments, please.
Okay, I would just like to keep our green space. I would like to keep our canopy. I would like to keep our neighbors together. And this is our gathering place. This is where we meet, and this is where we want to stay meeting, not on somebody's front porch.
Understood. Thank you for your comments, Mr. Singletary. Next is Brandon Alexander.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Hi, my name is Brandon Alexander. I've lived in Grace Ferry for the last 3 years. I'm a home remodeler by trade. And when I first came to Grace Ferry, 1531, 1535, and 1533, the employer that I was working for, we had to lift the foundation of the floors and the walls just to re-level the house so that we could remodel it properly because it was sinking down. And I currently live at 1531, and my back room is sinking still to this day. But talking about this green space, for the last 3 years, me, my son, and my baby mom been playing in this yard, grilling, having family get-togethers. And if we're gonna do anything with this yard, I would propose that we would add benches and picnic tables so that we could continue using this yard, because everyone in this community comes out here, we keep it clean, we keep these streets clean, and it wouldn't be fair to us just to take it away from us, just for our houses to fall and the new houses to fall down again. And that's pretty much all I have to say. I hope y'all enjoy the rest of y'all day.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander. And next we have Jeanette Miller.
Good morning.
My name is Jeanette. I'm a long-term resident of this neighborhood. I've been here for almost 65 years in November. But my parents bought the home back in '56. And what I'm finding now that's so unfair is that the city has attached code violation to my property to the tune of $2.5 million, which is unheard of. You know, I can't fight this, but homeowners and long-term homeowners feel rejected, feel persecuted, feel like they're being treated unfair, and I'm one of them. I've been here all my life. My son has a property. I want to pass it down just like he wants to his family. And it's unfair that developers come here and place unjustifiable fines and code violations to push us out. That is not going to happen. It's not going to happen, not on this watch. Thank you for letting me share that. But we need some help. We need help. Thank you for letting me share that.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. And next we have Alexa Ross.
Yes, good morning. Aubrey is going to join me. Do you want to join me, Aubrey? Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for the work that the Land Bank takes on. I was refreshing myself on the mission of the Land Bank, which was one of the repeated responses to questions that we had submitted asking about how this process works and what opportunities there are for more community involvement, to which we got the answer. It is the mission and objective of land management to put vacant parcels back into productive use. Clearly, by the stories we're hearing today, many of these parcels actually are already in productive, already in productive use. And so I think what we're hearing is that especially these lots on Myrtlewood are in productive use, serving the community, helping to mitigate from ecological issues like underground streams. And so I just want to volunteer, you know, all the capacity and energy, skills we put in, relationships we put in to try to ask for a halt on this process. We could be applying to actually supporting the Land Bank in adding more community involvement so we can identify parcels that are already in productive use and do not need to be sold off. So that is my main comment. We would love to assist in that. This is not about shutting down development. Very excited about minority developers, very excited about affordable housing. The process just needs to slow down so the community can better understand it and participate, and we can utilize local organizations and RCOs to facilitate more discussion. Thank you. Aubrey, you want to add your comment? You got it. About the trees? You want to?
Do you have somebody else there to comment?
Yeah, Aubrey had some thoughts earlier. I'm seeing if she wanted to share. You got it. What do you think about these trees?
I got a few other people that are willing to comment. So if Aubrey's going to comment, please have them come on very quickly.
Yeah, so yeah, say that again, Aubrey. You had it.
I think we should add more soil so the trees could live and so they can have more trees and we can have.
Thank you, Aubrey. Thank you for speaking up. All right, I'm going to go next to Dawood Bey. We're going to try Mr. Bey again. Mr. Bey, you should be able to unmute your phone and speak. You're unmuted. Go
Hi,
ahead.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead, Mr. Bey.
Oh, finally, thank you. First, I'd like to thank the board for allowing me to speak. And again, my name is Dawood Bey. I'm from Point Breeze in the Grace Ferry area. And I've been listening to the comments and things like that. And one of the things, I just wanted to just give history in regards to myself. Like I said, I've been a long-term member of this community for 53 years. I have a son that's born and raised right here in Grace Ferry, actually related to Jeff Singletary and Shirley Singletary. One of the things that I know about affordable housing is that our community is in a dire need of it. And to be honest with you, a lot of the different numbers and AMIs and different things like that, it's all a working process with me in trying to learn and understand all of this stuff. But at the end of the day, all of this only allows me to just reflect on my childhood when I was a young kid growing up in Grace Ferry and Point Breeze area. And, you know, when my house caught on fire, you know, I was a kid that was going to West Philly High. I would catch the 7 bus. I would catch the 42 bus to go all the way out to West Philly for the high school to play basketball, because that was my dream, to play basketball. But when my house caught on fire and I no longer had any housing or anything like that over my head, roof over my head, it was really hard to anyone to really speak to me about anything positive. And I'm saying that to say, because I'm leading that into a segue as how I believe that affordable housing will also help reduce gun violence in our communities. And because I know it from not just a proof of concept, but proof of experience. Like I said, growing up in South Philadelphia, not having a place to live as a child, and having to walk all the way to Grace Ferry from 23rd and Tasker all the way to Grace Ferry. It was the only gas station in the neighborhood that sold kerosene at the time. And when I didn't have any housing at the time, all of the programs, the Sunny Hill League, the this program, the West Philadelphia High basketball team, none of that stuff.
Mr. Bay, I'm
really
going to
meant
need you to
anything.
wrap up your comments, please.
I'm sorry, anything to me as a child, but the important thing to me was basically just trying to have some affordable housing and some good, clean, safe, stable housing as a child. So I just believe that this is a good program for the members of the community, and I'm really taken aback that some of the guys that's Mr. Charlie Reeve haven't gotten a chance to speak. Mr. Mika haven't gotten a chance to speak as well. So I just wanted to also remind you of other people that needed to get a chance to speak as well. Thanks, Ann.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Mr. Bay. All right, I'm going to go to Carly Frintner. And yes, I do have Tammy Reeves and Charles Reeves on the list. So, go ahead, Ms. Frintner.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. I'm just gonna set a timer for myself so I'm aware of what I have here. My name is Carly Frintner. My husband and I have owned and lived in our home on the 1600 block of South Dover Street since 2014. I am a PHS certified tree tender, former chair of the board of Friends of Linear Park. I also co-facilitate the Philly Thrive Women's Support Circle and the Alternatives to Gun Violence program through Philly Thrive, which was funded last year by the city's Office of Violence Prevention. In my professional work, I do hands-on healing as well as gardening work. I have a degree from Bryn Mawr College in political science. I've committed my life to social, racial, and economic justice and working for peace. And with that experience and insight, I can tell you the current proposal for plots, for many of the plots of lands in question, are not what the most vulnerable members of our community want or need, based on what I have heard from hundreds of neighbors in my short but hopefully solid 8 years living here. And so I actually just wanted to ask for a show of hands from all of you on the board. If you could raise your hands if you've spent more than 24 hours total in Grace Ferry. Could you raise your hands if that's true for you? So I'm seeing 3 hands. So that's interesting to me that many of the people here have not even spent a full day's worth of time in our community and yet are making decisions that affect thousands of people who live here. So I'd just like to say that we actually really need you. We need you to understand this issue. We need you to understand our community, and we need you to understand the breadth and depth of real struggles that we have in our community, that so many community members on this call, even though we may have disparate views, we're all focused on the same kinds of things in terms of, I'm aware that that's my time, so I'll wrap it up. But in terms of truly affordable quality housing, I would really encourage you to look at each plot of land individually rather than as a group. And also to just note, to just spend more than 2 minutes listening to each community member about what's needed, whether, you know, like me, you come into the community and do that on your own time to get a better sense of it, or whatever it takes. But we need to slow this process down. As someone else had said, there are so many needs we have here to address gun violence. And it's been shown that green spaces reduce gun violence. That's scientifically proven. And as Mr. Bay said, having stable housing is also a way to reduce violence. But I think there are multiple ways we can come at this issue. You know, gun violence is the main issue that the mayor and other bodies in the city have spoken to as a crisis and across our city, and especially in Grays Ferry. And so if we have the information about what can reduce that, why aren't we taking into consideration when we have 50 plots of land at our disposal to, you know, to possibly address this issue and stop people from being killed in the streets every day here in our neighborhood? Let alone all the other things that people are struggling with. So I really invite you to partner with us on this. I don't see us as adversaries. I see us as partners in really solving some serious concerns. And I hope that we can work further together with you and with everyone on this call and beyond. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Frentner. Okay, and now I'm going to go to the names that we've got in the chat. Tammy Reeves would like to speak, and she is on Carmine Zuli's phone, as I believe Charles Reeves is as well. So can we unmute Carmine Zuli and then hear from Tammy Reeves and then Charles Reeves? Carmine Zuli's device should be able to be unmuted. All right. Are the Reeves able to go ahead? There we go. We're unmuted.
Yeah, this is Carmine Zoy. For some reason, there's some kind of conflict between Charles Reeves and myself. I had already spoken, but you thought I was Charles Reeves. Again, I'll restate my comment. I'm Carmine Zuli. I'm the president of the Grays Ferry Community Council. I'm also a member of a coalition of local Grays Ferry RCOs, which include Mr. Reeves' organization, Tasker Morris Neighborhood Association, and Ms. Migallo's organization, Main Road. I, from the Grays Ferry Community Council, am supportive of this project. I think that it brings to the community much needed, clean, safe, and affordable housing. We're undergoing tremendous growth. Displacement's a concern. And at the price points that have been discussed for this project, it will allow needy Grays Ferry residents to be able to purchase a home and remain in the neighborhood. Specifically on Dover Street, those lots there have been blighted for 2 decades. So I look forward to the erection of clean, safe, affordable housing, specifically on that spot. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Zuli. It does look like we have Charles Reeves on his own device. Are we able to unmute Charles Reeves? There we go. Charles, there. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Reeves. It looks like you're unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Thank you. I'll let go get in. Okay, my name is Charles Reeves, and I hear a lot of my community members in there, and I thank them for the support. But I've been an RCO for 6 years, right? I've been living in the community for 60 years. I want to start out by saying Murderwood Street is across the street from a park that's brand new, that the city just spent like $2 million to fix. That's one thing. Another thing, right? We have an opportunity to let a minority leader, right, take advantage of this property. We in Grays Ferry have a history of racial violence. So now we got a Black person that want to buy some land and we don't support him. That's crazy. But I'm gonna support him. Then we need low income houses. I hear people speaking about gun violence. I'm actually out in the street with the young people in the gun violence. And some trees is not gonna stop gun violence. They need housing. You know what I mean? So again, I love my neighbors. You know, I've been here for 60 years. I know all of them on the street. We can agree to disagree, right? But I've been doing this work for 6 years. I watched $300,000 houses come into our community and nobody spoke up. Now it's an issue with low income. Let's support ourselves, bro. Let's take in charge of our own community, right? It's going to get done. It's just a matter of how we do it together. So I'm gonna leave on that. And one more thing, there's 5 RCOs in this community. We all agree. You know what I mean? I saw, and Mr. Ray said he can't speak on who is the president of Philly Thrive. And for the record, he didn't agree. He agreed with the project. So I don't know what's going on. But again, I'm gonna leave and I'm gonna say I love my neighbors. I love all y'all. I just disagree with y'all. I think it's a park across the street and we need housing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Reeves. And then I have, I hope I'm getting this right, Naips Constantini.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Naip Costantini. I live in 33. I'm a resident here and a homeowner. I'm an agricultural engineer. And what I can say about the trees are located there, basically they're giving stability to all the houses around there. And in case that if something is built there, will have the same consequences in the future. We are talking about not just about the tree, which is super important, but also the humongous liability for the city, for whoever building that land. So now we know there is a huge problem there. And it seems like it's pointing in a direction that it will be built at some point, which is, for me, just crazy to think about it. The other reason as well is for many years, I'm trying to buy the house next to me, which is 1546 30th Street. I've been cleaning the house, removing the trees. And in the past, nobody seems like they were concerned about the program. And I have sent emails, calls, and nothing happened. So I think also the process is taking the opportunity for residents to buy those properties, do something that also is positive for the neighborhood. It's important as well to add that having a park or something to provide the community a green area for the children also could be a positive things. That will be all. And well, and as well, I'm just thinking about what happened with the councilman right now, and it seems like it's not good to have those process in effect, because it seems like transparency is something important for the community as well.
Thank you, Mr. Constantini. Appreciate that. Okay, that concludes public comment. We've heard once from every person who's interested in commenting. And so now I'm going to turn it over to the board. The board is free to make any additional comments or ask any questions about this project. If the board does not have any comments or questions, they are also free to make a motion.
Can I just ask a couple clarifying questions based on some of the themes that came up in the comments? So one, I think, would be for the staff, based on some of the concerns about environmental issues on the land. So does the staff have any records of any previous environmental issues on the Myrtlewood site specifically? And then I'd have a question for the applicant based on the kind of the interest in making sure these are first-time homeownership opportunities for people in the community. Do you all have any ideas or experience from previous projects and how you could partner with community organizations to do that?
So in address to the soil conditions, I did have, this was raised in our pre-construction or pre-submission meeting. These properties currently are titled to the PRA. I did ask the PRA to do a research on how they got the inventory. PRA does not have any, what was reported to me is that PRA doesn't have any record of any of the issues that are being reported here. They were properties that were given in lieu of a condemnation. And so therefore, that's how they got into their inventory. This happened back in the 1970s. So we don't currently have any documentation on that. And I believe we have Mo Rushdie on with his hand raised to address the other question.
Hello, Andrew, and thank you for the question. Yes, the answer is we do have a plan, and that plan is going out to all the RCOs. We have experienced this with our last project at Francisville, where we have held meetings, extensive meetings with the RCOs, with unions, along with credit counselors and banks that would offer also closing cost assistance and down payment assistance. We would market this to the community. It is important for us that we offer these 17 homes. These are not 100 homes. And I think at 17 homes, that assemblage is small enough that we can get these homes sold for the people in the neighborhood that are making between $35,000 to $40,000 a year, along with plenty of CRA money by banks such as Bank of America, Meridian Bank, WSFS, Citizens Bank, that are offering between $5,000 to $15,000 in down payment assistance and closing cost assistance, where the out of pockets would be near nothing for these homes for people in the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have Mr. Reeves with his hand up as well. Mr. Reeves, are you wanting to respond and answer one of those questions? No. Okay. Mr. Balloon, Alex, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Part
Board
of my
member
question.
Balloon, you have your
It's
hand
okay.
up.
It's okay. I had a part of my question was answered. When these homes are built, the builder is required to get a permit to do geotechnical analysis. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
I have a comment. So I just wanted to say, first and foremost, it's great that the community came out to provide public comments. I think that's really important as, you know, development around our great city is taking place. And number two, also, I just wanted to say that, you know, myself as an affordable housing developer, I commend the developer in trying to make sure increase the amount of affordable housing units in Grace Ferry, especially since I think that community right now is at a disadvantage because there's been so much development for market rate that I think it is really critical to make sure that we put back affordable housing units, homeownership especially, and also with the previous item with WCRP in being able to provide rental, long-term rental, affordable rental housing in the neighborhood. I think that as we, you know, as developers go and put these deals together, is very challenging to targeting lower income families because of the income restrictions and also the subsidy layering that has to go into place, and also the finite number of resources that it takes to be able to leverage for these developments. So while I think it's really important to serve very, very low income, it also, there is a market for poor working families that are also very much deserving of having affordability as well, in communities like Grace Ferry, where you know, people are just getting priced out of the market.
Any other board members with any questions or comments? Seeing none, I also just want to note in the chat that Mr. Jihad Ali has informed us that he also sent a letter in reference to this project. Andrea, are you able to quickly summarize that letter from Mr. Ali?
Yes, I apologize. I thought I had mentioned that. If you can hold on just a moment. Yes, so he indicated that there was no, his comment was that there's no disclosure of the organizational structure of the following developments that are being voted on today: the Community Justice Land Trust, Civetta One LLC, and BMK Properties and Fine Print Constructions. And so he asked for more information about that. He also asked for whether there are written guidelines for board members and employees on conflicts of interest, and it's a guideline on the website. And yes, the guideline is on our website, which has led to Mr. Harris recusing himself. So on this
Thank you.
particular item.
Thank you. So we have heard public comment. We have heard from many community members and many people throughout Philadelphia regarding this item. We've heard issues around maintaining green space and tree coverage. We've heard issues around affordability. We've heard opposition and we've heard support. And with that, I'm going to call the question and ask for a motion on this item from the board.
I move that we approve the disposition.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded to approve the disposition of these properties. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, and we are on to item 5B2, which is again disposition of properties for development.
Sorry, I needed to get back in. So today we're asking the board to authorize the disposition of the following properties to Savetta One LLC to develop 45 affordable home ownership units that will be sold to households with incomes at or below 80% of AMI. The units will be developed throughout a mix of 2 triplexes, 9 duplexes, and 21 single-family dwellings. Applications were solicited via a request for proposal for the properties, and the applicant was the qualified bidder for the sole qualified bidder for the properties. Applications were evaluated pursuant to the disposition policy. The properties are 533, 539, 541, 543, 650, 658, and 662 North Conestoga Street, 5436 West Girard Avenue, 5552 Harmer Street, 642, 644, and 653 North Sickle Street, 534 through 36, 538 through 40, 546, and 550 North 54th Street, along with 623 through 33, 641, 643, 645, 647, 649, 651, 653, and 655 North 55th Street in the 4th Councilmatic District. Evidence of project finance has been provided. The applicant is compliant and in good standing with the City of Philadelphia. The project will be subject to Economic Opportunity Plan. The levels will be 10% MBE and 25% WBE. The property will be subject to a declaration of restrictive covenants, an irrevocable power of attorney, and the right of re-entry.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the board on this item?
Just a quick clarification on the EOP. So usually it's 25% MBE, 10% WBE, but in this case it's reversed. That's not a typo. That's accurate. Just wanted to double check that.
I had the same reaction, Andrew. I went through the application and verified it.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments from the board on this item? Seeing none, are there members of the public to speak to this? And I see Mr. Ali's hand up, so can we unmute Mr. Ali, please?
Good afternoon, Chairperson, members of the board. My name is Jihad Ali. I wanted to make a comment about that last, what you just read. And I like to start by reading the mission statement of the land bank. It says the mission statement of the land bank is to return vacant land and underutilized property to productive use through unified, predictable, and a transparent process, thereby to assist in revitalizing neighborhoods, creating socially and economically diverse communities. The issue that I have is the whole thing about transparency. This organization, this bill, this action that you're passing right now, this is a new group, Savetta One, which is different from Savetta, who has been down here numerous times. I would ask the chair, could you tell me when was the last time that you got a disposition list of the actions of the authority, and tell me how many properties have Savetta 1, or any other entity that they created have gotten properties? So how is this a transparent process? The other thing we talk about, I asked about, the lawyer didn't mention, I asked about EOPs. And what her response was, in summary, was that that's my responsibility to us. No, I'm sorry. She said the land bank doesn't monitor EOPs. And then when I asked about the question about the makeup of the body, the entity, she said that was my responsibility to go, in summary, my responsibility to check with the Department of State. And so what I asked the board, where is the transparency in that we just gave between these two developers, you gave them over 45 properties, roughly, we can say $15 million. We don't know who they are. We don't know we, the public, because this is a partnership between you as representatives of government and us as the public. And from our part of the public, we are not informed. We don't know who those entities are. I don't know if it's Mr. DeMarco. I don't know if it's Mr. DeMarco's son, his wife, or anybody else. We don't know that. So at the end of the day, the question that I want to ask the board is, where's the transparency? I was just totally disappointed in response that I got from the attorney. And I know there's some fine people on this board. I know Mr. Johns and Andrew Goodman, Mr. Michael Coons, several of y'all do outstanding work. So you can't be aware that this lack of transparency is happening. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Ali. And I would just say maybe we can look into including information about partnerships and past EOP performance in the agenda items going forward. It's something we'll look into, because we definitely want to make sure that we're providing as much information as we possibly can. Any other members of the public to speak to this item? Seeing none, can I get a motion from the board? Oh, I'm sorry, Mika Outlaw has her hand raised.
Okay, hi. I'm sorry. The only thing I want to say is that I just need the land bank to be mindful that when they sell these properties, I actually live in Grace Ferry, that when they have these properties that they give to these developers, that they turn over to be sold, there's a property right now that was under the land bank that went to a developer that was bought, and now it's being sold for a $13,000 profit. And I have been calling around to try to figure out how is it that somebody was able to purchase the property and now they're able to make a profit off of this property.
So Ms. Outlaw, if you could reach out to one of the staff members here, maybe they could put their email address in the chat and relay the address of that property so that they can look into that situation. And we appreciate you raising that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Currently, Andrea Sa's email is in there. So if you have any questions, you can direct it to her and we will answer your questions accordingly.
Thank you. All right, I don't see any other hands raised. So can I get a motion from the board on item B2, which is disposition of several properties in the 4th district for redevelopment?
I make a motion for disposition of the properties.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded on item B2 for disposition of several properties for redevelopment in the 4th district. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. That concludes our regular agenda. Is there anybody who wishes to approach the board about any old business?
Madam Chair, I see there's one question, the Q&A unresolved.
Yes, so I noticed in the Q&A, there's a question from Allison Weiss about getting a copy of the answer to the question about flipping the property. We will look into whatever that property is, and then I will just note for staff, if you can please advise Allison Weiss of what happens there. Frankly, they should not be able to flip the property, so we need to look into that and see what's actually happening there. And then we have Mr. Ali has his hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say one comment, Madam Chairperson, and that was that I wasn't sure if you were, I thought you weren't no longer on this board. So will you continue on this board?
Yes, I am going to continue on this board. I did step down as chair of the Redevelopment Authority Board, and Dave Thomas is now the chair of that board, but I am still on this board.
Well, I wanted to, I didn't mention your name as somebody that does fine work. And because I won't be able to see you at the Redevelopment Authority, I just wanted to take a moment to thank you, because in your leadership of both of these agencies, you have always respected us as public participation. And I really wanted to tell you that I sincerely appreciate all you've done over the years in giving us a platform to speak on. And I just wanted to say thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ali. And I appreciate your ability to show up at all these meetings and provide thoughtful comments. So right back at you. All right. With that, we have concluded the agenda and comments for the April Land Bank Board meeting. So I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Second?
All right. Motion has been made and properly seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you, everybody. We will see you back here at the May Land Bank Board meeting. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.